Okay.
Because you can always take her, put her back in the audience and bring her back as a speaker if you need to
Okay.
refresh it. Okay.
And guess what? We're live. Yay! All right. So welcome to Love at First Laugh, the Green Room edition. Thank you, audience members, for being here. You guys make this even more fun. So thank you. So my guest here today is a good friend of mine. I love her. She's one of my comedy sisters, and she's a stand-up comedian, an actress, a producer, and an acting coach. She's a Boston native, and she was the recurring character of new Fiona on Shameless on season 7, and garnered the prestigious honor of being added to the Shameless Hall of Shame for the final season on Showtime. Please welcome to the virtual stage my good friend, the hilarious and super talented Mary Kennedy. Woo! Yay!
Hey, can you hear me? Can you see
Yes,
me?
yes,
I can hear you. I can see you now.
Here I am.
yes, we're here. I'm so happy. Thank you for doing this podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you on it.
Of course. I love that you call me a comedy sister because it's true. There's a bunch of us comics who happen to be female roaming the world and supporting one another. So thank you for having me here. And congrats on this new platform. And, this is a great show. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank
Hey,
you.
listen.
Thank
Hey,
you.
listen. In my heart, Mary, you are the comedy sister as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's very sweet.
And I'm giving you nothing but love from Central New York.
I love that from Utica. That's what I heard because my husband's from there. So, yay!
Awesome.
Yes. So thank you.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. Thank you. So I always ask my guests from like the very beginning, like what propelled you to do acting and stand-up comedy?
Well, I kind of fell into it. Like I haven't really told this story on a lot of places, I guess, or a lot of podcasts or whatever. So this is like exclusive, Grace, exclusive content. I actually kind of fell into it. One of my best friends in middle school had to move and they needed me to replace her part. And so I got to play this part that she couldn't finish. And then I kind of caught the bug then. I was like 13. That's when it really, I was an angel in some Christmas play at my church. I did little things. And then when I finally did this show, it sort of everything fell into place. And that's when I started acting. And then I ended up being in the senior play at my school. And we have this competition that goes to Boston, Massachusetts, because I'm originally from the Massachusetts area. And I won an all-star award and I beat Ben Affleck out of an award. So the rest is history, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You heard it first here on Love at First Laugh, the Green Room edition. Okay. Beat Ben Affleck.
Yes. And he did a great job. And so we became the all-star cast. And so there was probably about, I would say 500 actors that competed, and then they picked 17 of us, and I was one of the 17, and Ben Affleck didn't win, but look where Ben Affleck is today, and look where I am. I'm not married to J-Lo, so, it's all 2020. But, and then I decided I was going to go major in it in college, and I went to Emerson, and then the rest is history, and here I am today in front of everyone.
That's amazing. How long have you lived in LA, by the way?
22 years. It'll be 23 years in September.
Wow. We're the same. I'm 20.
Yeah.
20 years. Wow.
That was
We
awesome,
met
ladies.
long time ago. We met probably when I first moved here.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
I think I probably did gigs with you at a laundromat. It's like we had, gigs in a mall in the middle of Orange County. We just did it all.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Probably the laundromat, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
There was one show that was famous with the laundromat, and everybody wanted to try new material there. It was awful, but
no, it was fun because you could, if you wanted to, you could bring your laundry there, and you could, multitask. Or
there you go.
There would be kids in the, those little wheelie,
Oh, the
laundry
cart
hampers,
things.
the cart things, and they
Yeah.
would like push them around the machines and in front of us during our set. We've really made it, Grace, really.
Yeah. Oh my God. So what was your first stand-up comedy show? Like, how did you start?
So here's the thing. It's interesting that you're interviewing me. I don't know if this show's evergreen, but in this world right now, it's the Tony Awards tonight. And I was working for Equity, which is the actors union for stage actors. And I was working as a paralegal for an attorney who was the head attorney for Equity. And I couldn't be an actress because of that. There was a conflict of interest. And so, but I felt the need that I needed to perform. So a boyfriend of mine at the time who came to our first date with a book, by the way, Grace, he read a book during my date. Not, how you bring out phones now. Back then it was a book because it was the 90s. But anyway,
Wow.
fine, So anyway, so he said to me, he goes, I think you're really funny. I think you should start stand-up. And I said, oh, that's funny. Okay. And then needless to say, our relationship didn't work, but I'm still friends with him. And, but I did a comedy class at the Comedy Institute in Manhattan. And then we had our first show at Stand Up New York in Manhattan. And I performed that night, and Tommy Savitt, who is a touring national headlining comic all over the world, found me, and he said, "You're great. Would you like to produce with me down at Stand Up New York? Not at Stand Up New York. Would you like to produce with me at New York Comedy Club?" He met me at Stand Up New York at New York Comedy Club with Al Martin. Al Martin now owns Broadway Comedy Club and Greenwich Comedy Club. I said, sure. And then I was hosting the 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. Spot on Thursday nights. And sometimes it would be packed, and sometimes it would be, with mental patients. So that's how I started my career. So my first comedy show was at Stand Up New York. I was discovered, and then I haven't stopped. And I've been a stand-up now for, I would say, over 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do you like better, acting or stand-up? What is your favorite?
There's nothing, and I've answered this question a lot. There's nothing like being on set. There's nothing in the world like being on set, working with actors, working with directors. There's nothing like being on a theater stage. Like I'm touring with my one-woman show right now. There's nothing like that either, but there is nothing, and you'll understand, Grace, when I say this, there's nothing like killing on stage as a comic, meaning
best.
Yeah, where everything that comes out of your mouth, they laugh, so I would say that is kind of what I'm chasing. That's the continual chase. And so working on my one-woman show right now, it's hard because some of the stuff in the one-woman show isn't funny all the time. And when I first started rehearsing with my director, Charlene Ward, she'd be like, this isn't stand-up. This is a one-person show. So, that's kind of it. But that's what I'm saying. If anyone has ever been a stand-up and had a killing set, that's what you're chasing for the rest of your career.
It lasts for a while. Like I had a show like that. It was a short set, and I had a show like it was like applause break, laughter, like constant. And I was like, "What's happening?" And you do the same thing after, and it's not the same, but it lasts you for like a year, I think. Like when you have one of those shows that is just constant applause and laughter. Yeah, totally. I agree and relate to it very much. So when speaking of comedy, do you do some kind of rituals before a show? Like, do you warm up? Do you do, like I open up my chakras. That's what I do. That's my thing.
I don't open my chakras, but
thing, it's so weird.
No, I don't open my chakras. What I do though, and this is probably what a lot of people don't know. So I'm a total musical theater nerd. So what I'll do is I will put on my phone and I'll put Waitress the musical on, but not the album, not the cast album, the Yahoo streaming that Sarah Bareilles did. And I'll listen to it and I'll sing along with Sarah Bareilles and I'll do my makeup. And so I do that. And then if I know it's a very stressful one or I'm really nervous about it, then I'll sing the Wicked soundtrack. And then if I still haven't got to where I need to be, then I'll sing the Color Purple soundtrack. So
That's you have like your whole repertoire.
Right. And my husband
There you
knows
go.
that. My husband knows that it's a stressful one if he knows that I'm singing in the bedroom and I've shut the door. But that's how I also start before I go on stage for my one-woman show. For auditions, because we're doing so many self-tape auditions, you know, I have to get, like today, I had 2 auditions. So what you're seeing is full makeup from the auditions. I will go in the shower and I'll go over my lines, and then, you know, I'll do all that. I'll get into character. The way I get into character for a role is that I dress from my shoes up, meaning my characters come out of the shoes and how I stand in this character and what they're wearing. So that's kind of my ritual when I'm acting. So
I see. I love it. Everybody has their rituals.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you have to. It's mandatory, right?
Yeah, and if I don't do them, I feel like things are off a little bit.
Absolutely. You gotta like kind of center yourself and ground yourself. That's how I do it. You know, I'm more of a yogi, you're more of a musical theater person.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anyone. No, I'm kidding. No, I am total nerd.
So let's go to the meaty role. New Fiona on Shameless. So we want you to spill the tea on everything from the audition process to your nude scenes.
Okay. Let's not give me any like preemptive anything. No, it's true. So here's I'm going to start with this. So as a character actor, like I've been a character actor probably from the day I started acting. You know, I've never been it's so funny. I never have been really my age. And now that I am my age, like I'm too young for the roles that I'm coming up. I'm too young looking, pardon me. Yes. And I think it's all the potatoes that I've eaten being Irish that I have this soft, angelic skin. But anyway, so here's the thing. So I booked when I was a baby, like before children. That's what when I actually didn't have wrinkles, and I had my kids. Before that, I was on a little show called ER. You guys remember ER?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a recurring cop on that show, and John Levy casting, he cast me in it. And little did I know that job, and this is what I say to actors and comics and everybody out there, you don't know the connection that you make today won't be your connection that's going to give you another job tomorrow. And so I basically met John, adore John. They cast me. And what was wild is in that audition for ER, you know, John Wells was in there, who was the creator of ER. The writer was in there, the director.
Nice.
And that was amazing. It's on the lot at Warner Brothers. And so I left the audition. I knew I did a good job. I called my husband immediately to say, I think I did a really good job. And I was standing at Warner Brothers on the lot, and I looked down, and where am I standing but in George Clooney's parking spot for ER.
Wow.
Whoa.
Okay.
And so I get home. So I auditioned like at 3:00. I get home. Around 4:30, my phone rings, and it's my agent, and he tells me that I booked it. And then I did 2 episodes on season 12 of ER. My brother was a military police officer at that time. And so I called him to tell him I booked it and told him I need your help for research. And then, you know, next thing I know, I got a call. I went for a fitting. They put me in an actual Chicago cop uniform. And that was my start with John Wells Productions, you know, John Levy casting. And then flash forward about, I would say, 10 years. And I've been going into John Levy's office at Warner Brothers over and over again, straight to producers because I booked this ER. Wow. And then this role comes along, and it's the role of New Fiona. And I read, because you get breakdowns and they tell you what your audition's for. And this is back in the day before the pandemic when you went into the office, right?
Yes.
And it says, this role, here's your lines, this role is for a new part. For the role of New Fiona, there are 2 nude scenes. So your client is going to have to sign off on the fact for nude scenes. And what we want is an out-of-work prostitute who has let herself go. So,
wow.
so I being from Boston, and this show's set in Chicago, much like ER, I being from Boston goes, of course, they want a combat zone, which is in Boston. It's our nudie zone, combat zone prostitute, which is like in Boston, it gets cold. So you got this prostitute who's got like, you know, layers on, but the fishnet stockings and a pair of boots and a parka, who's waiting on the corner to, you know, do her job. She's not dressed like a high class hooker, right?
Yeah.
So when I got to the audition, the women that were waiting, and I go around with all the same women, by the way, because we're character actors. I get in the room, or we're all waiting, and all the women look like high paid, you know, class hookers, like Vegas, like high paid call girls. And then there I am, and I look like I just jumped out of the dumpster. And so I was like, all right. So either though, this is what goes through your mind. You go, oh my God, everybody looks a certain way and I don't look the certain way. Are they not going to want me?
Yeah.
Because maybe I screwed up. And then when I walked in the door, the writer was there, the director was there, John Wells was not there. Another producer was there who I later worked with. You know, everybody was in the room. There was a lot of people in the room. And I had to sign a waiver basically saying, I understand there can be nude scenes. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And I went through the audition and I knew I did well because the writer in the room ended up laughing. And so I knew, okay, so that's good. And then the director had me do it again. And then the writer gave me a note and I did it a third time. So I knew in that moment, I said, well, if the writer's giving me notes, this is good too.
Yeah.
And then I left the audition shaking because I really thought I booked it. Went into the bathroom in the back of the casting office, was shaking in there, had to breathe and go, I think I booked it. So then in my head, I go, oh, so I auditioned like again, like at 3:00 in the afternoon. I go, oh, if I booked it, they'll call me at 4:30, like ER 10 years ago. I go home, 4:30 comes, 5:30 comes, 6:30 comes, 7:30 comes. I go to bed. I didn't book it. I thought I didn't book it. The next morning, I'm teaching a camera camp to kids, right? It's during the summer. This is a Tuesday. This is Tuesday when I auditioned. Wednesday morning at 10:30, my phone rings and my agent, the Happen agency, calls me and she says, you booked it. And I told her, this is what I said, I don't know if you have any, I don't think you have FCC, but I'll tell you what I said to her. I go, fuck off. I did not. She goes, no, you booked Shameless. And I lost my mind because it was this big role.
Yes.
So my mom had died 6 months earlier. So I called her partner to let her know. She was the second call I made because my husband was there with me at this thing I was teaching. I called my mother's partner and I said, I just booked this job. I have 2 nude scenes. And she goes, your mother would be very proud of you. And then Wednesday, I find out I got it. Thursday, I was on set, everybody. I had to be on set on Thursday.
Oh.
I worked Thursday. I was off Friday and my nude scenes were Monday and Tuesday of the following week. And then I was on that set for 6 weeks.
So your nude scenes were like first. So you got that out of the way.
Yep.
Did that feel good? Like you were like, okay, now I got that out of the way. I can move on.
Well, the thing is that this is what happens when you do a nude scene. They close the set. So it was just the director who, Ian McDonald, fantastic. He was so great. He was the most amazing, so great to me. And the first day of shooting, actually, guys, in the makeup chair, William H. Macy, my dad, Daddy Frank, put his hand on my shoulder and said, welcome to the Shameless family. So I already knew I was okay. But basically, they shut down set, and the director and the director's AD is there. Those are the only people that are looking at the footage. And then I had my costume wardrobe person with me in this fake bathroom because I'm supposed to come out of a shower and there's no towel. Basically, we're squatting in a house that's for sale. So I decide, because I'm homeless, I'm going to go take a shower, of course. And so before they shot it, the wardrobe person and we did a prayer.
Oh, wow.
And then I felt the steam on me from the top of the shower. And then I took my towel off and I walked out the door. And then actually there was an actress in the scene with me and I know her actually, who saw me. And then she gives me this look. She was the real estate agent. And then she leaves, right? So she was the only one in it. And so I had to do that 6 times. And so by the time I got to my 6th take, I was like, whatever. So that was in the can. And then after that, when we came down to the main living room of Shameless, which is on the lot, Bill Macy said, let's give Mary Kennedy a standing ovation because she just did her first nude scene on Shameless. She truly is part of the Shameless family. And then after that, the next day, I had another nude scene that I totally forgot about. I had to moon people at Patsy's Pies. So there were extras eating pie and, fake food. And there my ass was in their face. And Bill Macy showed his ass. And then Arden Myrene, who's a great actress, showed her butt. And I showed my butt as they ate fake pie. And then the rest is history. So
that's amazing. Yeah. We have a technical issue with a little feedback. So I need to bring back to the stage, put her back in the audience and okay. Mike, can you mute yourself? Thank you. Okay. Let me see. Mary, let's test, say 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
I think now, yeah. Okay. Now we're good. Okay. Sorry about that.
Do you want me to repeat anything? Or
No, we're good. We're good. We're fine.
Okay.
Okay, great. So how did you prepare for that role?
Well, I only got the sides or script. I think I had the script, maybe I got them on a Friday. Okay. So when you get a script, and they didn't give me the whole script, they just gave me the parts that they wanted me to learn. It's really good when you go in the room nowadays, because we're doing self-tapes, it has to be all memorized. Back then you could bring in your script, but I knew it really well. My first goal was to get my costume together, to figure out who this person was. So I talked to my friend Paul Jasek, who's also a mutual comic, but he was our wardrobe supervisor for a movie that I produced called Creative Differences. And he knows wardrobe and makeup and hair. And so basically I was sending him pictures of what I was thinking. And he's the one that picked out the outfit that basically I think got me the role. And then I just learned my lines right away and kind of sat with this woman. And she was a combination of kind of people that I knew in Boston that were rough and tough. Mm-hmm. And then a little bits of elements of me, and, just somebody who really needed to make a living, who was tough, but had a wicked sense of humor. Yeah. That's me. So that's basically what I did to prepare for the role. And then I went in and I did it. And this character I use all the time now. I mean, if they want a tough broad, I've auditioned for a lot of prisoners. She comes in. If mean, tough gals, she comes in. That's new Fiona. But she's also lovable. Here's the thing: when you're playing somebody who is, an out-of-work prostitute who works for food, she's got to be lovable though, because Frank, my dad in this, was lovable. There's so much comedy in Shameless, which I had to play that too. So
absolutely. Well, how was it working with William H. Macy?
He's amazing. He is, I've said this, I can't even tell you how many interviews I've said this about him. He is such an actor's actor, meaning he sits down with the cast and talks to you. And, we couldn't bring our scripts to set. Actually, they wanted us to be memorized. They didn't want us to have scripts. So, we would sit there, we could have them, in our waiting area. And so he'd go over lines with us and things like that. But as soon as we hit set, there was no scripts. So he would have his ukulele backstage and he would play his ukulele. And he welcomed me from day one, but he would tell me of all the acting stuff he did. And, he said to me, he goes, I was raised Lutheran. I'm this character of Frank is not, he really, I think, created Frank from the bottom up. I mean, I really do. And to work with him, there was one scene that I was in with him where he sort of getting all the homeless people to follow him and
Yes.
sort of being like this far away from William H. Macy. He's acting, and you see this actor is, was in Fargo and all this stuff. Like, you can't help but be a better actor work with him. And probably the most interesting thing that he said to me that I do tell my actors that I work with is, he said, Mary, because he was nominated for an Emmy, many Emmys, but he was nominated for an Emmy while I was working with him. And so everyone on set said, congratulations, Bill Macy, on your nomination, all that stuff. And he said, Mary, you're one job away from getting an Emmy or an Oscar. And I was like, what? But the fact, and he has those. So the fact that he said that. So he was delicious. Everybody was delicious. I got to work, with everybody on set. And I'm so proud of Jeremy Allen White right now with his show, The Bear, because he was great. Everybody was. But the fact, and Emma Kenny got, a job right after it. I mean, the Connors. So I just, Shanola Hampton, amazing. Steve Howie, who's got a huge series now. Just everybody on set was so nice. Emmy Rossum directed me in an episode. I just got to work with just everybody, and it was truly, truly amazing. So
that is so wonderful. And yes, I'll be at the Emmys when they give you your Emmy. I'll be in the audience.
I hope so. We'll see. I mean, but I also don't do it for that. I mean, I think I do it for the joy, and that, I get cranky when I don't do this. So.
Absolutely. Well, we don't do what we do for the outcome. We do it because we're creative people and we just need to do it. That's who we are.
Yeah.
So exactly. I totally understand. Yes. But an Emmy would be nice. So, hey.
We'll see. Yeah. It's on my vision board. So.
Yes. Yes. Well, now my question is, okay, so I do a lot of like body positivity stuff. I did comedy and lingerie and all that stuff. But I would be terrified to be nude in front of people. I would be so terrified. As a matter of fact, I was offered one time a show at a nudist resort, and I was like, can I be dressed? They were like, no, you have to be nude. I was like, and it was paid, and if they paid me well, I couldn't do it. So tell me, how did you do it? I just coach me.
Well, truth be told, I couldn't have done the nudist colony either. So let me tell you the difference. This is the difference. Like,
yes,
being nude in front of my husband is no big whoop, right? Like but being in front of nude people at a nudist colony where I don't see an escape route immediately, like I can't. And the idea of like men's and women's bodies that I don't want to sleep with, like around me, like I can't. It kind of makes me nervous. So that's a no-go. And then God forbid I run into somebody from the PTA. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But, do you know what I mean? Like but if I'm getting paid good money to do nudity, that is not, that's something that my family would be okay with. Like, I mean, I'm not talking like, I'm doing nudity with like on a respectable show, like, and the union covers us for these kind of things, like, so it was something that I felt was something that I could do and feel okay about. Here's the thing. I had 2 kids via C-section. I had 2 very bad pregnancies, and all of the UCLA, doctors and nurses had seen me. Plus, here's a really crazy thing. I ended up going into preterm labor, and the anesthesiologist that helped me put saline, because they couldn't get a line to put saline in, and I was going to deliver early, was a guy who actually consulted on ER when I was on it. That's interesting. Wow. So he was there. And then there was a couple nurses that delivered my baby along with my gynecologist, who actually did background work on the episodes that I did for ER. So it's a very huge circle. So
that is insane. What?
It is insane. It's true. Yeah. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is, after having babies and my body had changed, I have 2 C-section scars. I'm all natural. I've had no implants. I've had nothing. I'm not against it. I mean, but I've done nothing to my body. My left breast is bigger than my right, according to my not GoDaddy profile, my Skin Daddy profile, excuse me. Yes. But what I'm trying to say to you is that I'm 51 in like a couple weeks. At that point in my career, I was in my 40s. And I said, you know what? At this point, who cares? Like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
I just, and if people, and what came out of it, sure, they're the haters. Sure, they're the people that say, oh, you shouldn't have done that, right? But what I got as a side effect is I got so many women talking to me saying, thank you so much for doing that, because I feel better about my body now that you just let it all hang out.
I love that.
And I don't want anyone to this is the side effect of being a quote unquote celebrity, but military men and prisoners follow me. So that's a side effect of doing 2 nude scenes. I've got lots of prisoners, So what I'm trying to say to you is, like, listen, it was an amazing series. I got to do, 6 episodes, then do 2 Shameless Hall of Shame episodes. I couldn't have done that if I said no. There were a lot of women that auditioned that didn't want to do a nude scene, and it was really part of the storyline. Like, it made sense. So it wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't, whatever. And, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, I would do it again. So if anyone wants to hire me to do a nude scene, my rate has gone up. Contact my manager and agent, and we'll get it done. No, but that's what I mean. Like, if it makes sense for the character, I'm all for it. And I'm going to be honest with you. A friend of mine did a thing where she had to be intimate with somebody on a show. Yeah. And that kind of freaked me out. And then I booked Shameless, and now I'm like, yeah, I can be intimate with somebody on a show. Who cares?
Really?
Like, yeah.
You don't care. It's acting. It's, it's right. It's
yeah. And listen, it's about the body positivity. And listen, over COVID, I gained weight. I gained a lot of weight.
We all did.
We all did. And the weight is coming down, and I had to accept my body where it was right at that moment. Yeah. And the same thing when I did Shameless. I was like, this is who you are. This body gave birth to 2 kids successfully. This body, walked down an aisle, with a guy that adores her. Like, this body, sat next to my mom when she was dying. I mean, like, this body's done a lot of things, and, it doesn't matter if I'm a twig or if I'm, 40 pounds overweight. This body has served me, and let the whole world live in the joy of my body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's great. And I love that women have come forward and told you that you helped them, because that is so important. Women are, and men too, we're body shamed so much, especially women. We're body shamed so much. You're too fat, too skinny, too this, too that, and for you to inspire women to accept themselves the way they are right now. And that's the most important thing, is right now who you are at this very moment.
Yeah. And scars and all. And it's been an interesting journey. I mean, sure. I mean, my phone was ringing off the hook when the series aired, because I couldn't tell anybody that I had nude scenes. So I had a lot of people call me from high school and college and, all over my life going, you, that was you. I go, yeah. And it's a little awkward when people recognize you, like, especially at the grocery store, and they're like, oh, I know what you really look like. Yeah. So that can be a little, or at the doctor's office when your kids go in for their exam and they're like, oh, I saw you on Shameless. I saw all of you. I know. So it can be awkward. It can be awkward, but it's also like, I don't care. Like, it's
absolutely, it's both scary and liberating at the same time.
It was so liberating. And then the fact, like, and also to have Bill Macy be in a scene with me right after that, where he was flashing his ass, like, he has no shame about it either. And like, and it was just great. And it was great. It was great to work with Arden, who was new Monica. And she was intimate with him I'm not going to give spoilers, but she had some intimate moments with him too. And it's like, so We
Yep.
all, yeah, that's why it's, it's Shameless. You're bearing it all for sure.
Oh, for real. Yes. So you were talking about like people, you see people and that recognize who you are. How did that feel? Like all of a sudden, you have this amazing role and do this amazing job as new Fiona, and then people on the street or the grocery store or whatever, they come up to you and like that they've seen you, they know who you are. So how does that feel?
It's good. It really helped with my comedy career because then I could headline and fill the houses, which they always like.
Yes.
Um, I think it got a little weird when I felt like people thought they knew me, but they don't really.
Yeah.
And so I
Mhm.
had to be a little bit more protective of my family. Um, my last name's Kennedy too, by the way. So, I mean, I'm third cousins with the Kennedy family. So, you know, not that I lived in celebrity before this, but you then have a name like Kennedy. You've done nude scenes on Shameless. You've been on Shameless. It, I think the biggest thing that freaked me out, this is the thing that kind of freaked me out, is that I would do a red carpet event
Mhm.
and I would be, I'd finish, you have to go on the red carpet, you go all the way down the line, have the interviews. And this group of men primarily would have your headshots all printed out and they'd
Wow.
want you to sign them. And it's customary that you should sign them, but they turn around and then go sell them. What creeped me out is that there were people actually spending time in front of their color printer to get my headshots for
Wow.
signature. And that creeped me out. Like
Yeah,
that felt a little bit like,
I feel you.
so yeah, so that's a little scary.
Mhm.
And then just know your life has turned from, not very public to public. And so
Mhm.
I had to also be careful with, some of the political stuff. If I wrote, I had to just be careful what I said because
Absolutely.
especially being related to Kennedys, and we have been in a very interesting political time.
Yes.
The interviews would turn from, "Oh, we loved you on Shameless. We thought you were great. What do you think of the election?" And there were
Oh,
times that I would talk about it because it made sense, and
yeah.
then there were times that I just didn't feel like I was on one red carpet where it got a little heated because they were like, "Well, you're liberal," and I'm like, "I'm not," and let's not like. It just got too political for me, and I was like, "I'm getting out of
Oh,
this conversation."
yeah. And I think it's smart to get away from politics if you're a performer, because
Yeah.
really that's none of their business what you think about politics, religion. I mean, that's how I feel.
Well, and it kind of can dilute the work. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, it can tint people's,
yeah,
perception of you. So you don't want that. You want them to see you as the artist that you are, not as,
right.
the liberal or Republican or whatever.
Yeah.
I am completely with you on that. So why do you think Shameless is so successful? What do you think makes it such an incredible show? What, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, I mean, right now we're in a writer's strike, so I'm going to say this: the writing is phenomenal. So when I got that script for New Fiona, and mind you, I didn't have pages and pages of dialogue like Bill Macy, but I felt like this character in a weird way was written for me,
Really?
which might be my ego. I don't know. But these writers, even like with a comma that they put somewhere, makes sense. Like all of it made sense.
Mhm.
And I think the characters were so well thought out and they were put into this world that was so crazy
Mhm.
that I think there was something for everybody. Meaning, if you didn't like this character, well, you can move on to that character. There were so many storylines going on at once, and then put the backdrop of Chicago, and
Mhm.
then put, Emmy Rossum's character, Fiona, who's got to take care of this family, and a dad who, I think he loved his children for sure, but he was always coming up short. And what did Frank do today? And I think the other thing, now listen, I come from a big Irish Catholic family. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people identified with Shameless because a lot of people had this kind of dynamic in families. I just do. I think everybody knew a Frank. I think
Yeah.
everybody knew Daddy Frank.
Yes.
And so that's why I think it was so successful, because everybody knew Daddy Frank and they wanted to see what his next, exploitive thing would be. And then it was his family consistently having to kind of navigate that, and that's something that, I just think, plus just all these great storylines. I think people really enjoyed the storylines, and they had that central place, the bar that, Shanola Hampton's character and Steve Howie, they ran the bar. That was a central location for everybody. And so I think people enjoyed that too. And everybody was real. Like, I think everybody knew people that were in characters in this show. So,
yeah, I agree. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some questions from the audience. And then I'm going to ask you some more personal questions after we're done with their
great.
community. Now let's get more deep into this.
All right. It's fine. I don't have therapy this week, so I'll just count it as my therapy. You can bill my insurance. All right.
I will. All right. So Leanne, do you have any questions for Mary?
Yeah, actually, I do. I'm wondering, what is your dream role?
Wow. God. It's interesting. And again, it's been done. So, I absolutely like Handmaid's Tale, the Anne Dowd character that Anne made. So, the sort of hen mother, so to speak, like that role, so juicy, so something that I just love. And I think Anne Dowd, nobody else but Anne Dowd could play that role. Something like that would be really fun to do, because I'm not, much like I'm not an out-of-work prostitute who works for food, I'm not like evil like that. No. But it would be fun to play something super evil, and then have a likability. Like, that is an incredible challenge as an actor. So there's that kind of thing. I would like, my one-woman show right now called Midlife Mood Swing. It's about being a mom, about going through midlife. It's about dealing with being a mom in midlife without my own mother on earth, Yeah. It's very funny, believe it or not. I would love to put that into a sitcom. I don't think I probably wouldn't play my mother in that sitcom. But I would like to have my own sitcom someday. That would be great.
Yeah.
But I think a role where you can see kind of all sides of me, the vulnerable side, the funny side, the deadpan side, that would be one of the best kind of roles for me. But out there to the industry that might be listening, any role will do. But but something like there's a lot that goes on with Mary Kennedy, and I would like a role that you'd be able to see that.
See all your facets, your different, your layers.
Yeah. Maybe with my clothes on this time. I don't know.
I feel you, girl. So, Brian, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's on the screen as the boyfriend, so that's why I forgot already. It was Brian or Ryan. Okay, Brian, I got it right. Yes. So, do you have any questions for Mary?
Yeah. Where's your favorite place to do stand-up? Where's your favorite stage? Where have you gotten the most laugh, or where do you feel most comfortable?
Oh, that's hard, because I don't want to just out one. But I love you all. I want everyone to know that I love you all. One of my favorite spots to do stand-up actually is Broadway Comedy Club in New York City. It's actually either upstairs, and they call it the Red Room, or downstairs in the main club. Every time I do a set there, I kill, in quotes. And it brings everything, because I started in New York. I'm a much better comic today. It just brings everything there. And then when I come out after doing the gig and I'm on the street, where they're located, they're in Midtown, I'm so energized, and I just adore it. Like, I love that. It doesn't mean I don't love all the clubs that I perform in regularly. Please give me spots. But that Broadway Comedy Club is probably my favorite place on earth to do stand-up.
It's your happy place.
It's my happy. It just brings everything together. It's like look where I started, look where I've come from, look where I am. It's very magnetic. And to also make New Yorkers laugh and like get applause breaks from New Yorkers is like, and I, even when I let them know I'm originally from Boston and it still works, like it's an amazing thing. There's nothing like a New York audience.
Oh my God. New York and Chicago are my favorite audiences ever.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Yes, I agreed. Mike and Chris, do you guys have any questions?
I do. I have 2 questions to ask, if that's
Awesome.
okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. The first one is, when you were growing up, did you have any favorite female comedians and male comedians? And have you ever performed in Canada yet?
So I'll answer the Canadian one second. I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with me in Canada because it's crazy and I didn't plan it. My favorite comics growing up, I used to watch Johnny Carson every night, even when I wasn't supposed to. I really enjoyed Johnny Carson. I loved Joan Rivers. Let's see, who else? Bette Midler's fantastic. Bobby Collins, I adore, and he's all over the place here. Like I think he's really funny. Let's see, Jay Leno, Conan, and I got to work with both of them. I was a sketch artist on Conan, so to watch Conan O'Brien work was incredible. And Jay Leno, I got to perform on a set when he headlined. It's just great to see him work. Trying to think, there's so many. Ellen for a long time, I loved how she transitioned to acting. I thought that was really cool. Roseanne before she was crazy. Brett Butler. I mean, there's just so many that I just, would watch. But again, I fell into comedy. I didn't sit there when I was watching Johnny Carson going, oh my God, I want to do that. I didn't do that until I got on stage and I realized that this is what I want to do. And I have to say, who I'm really starting to enjoy now, the older I get, is Seth Meyers. Like, I think he's adorable and so fun. And, I really like his stuff. Trevor Noah, it's just been, it was kind of fun to watch Leslie Jones take over that mic for a while too. So, I think that's sort of the group of comics that I like. But I got to say, when I was in New York, what was cool is that like you'd be doing a set at Stand Up New York and it wouldn't be off and in New York Comedy Club. And, it wouldn't be weird for like Seinfeld to bump you. I mean, Seinfeld bumped me one night. He said, do you mind if I go ahead of you? And I was like, sure. And then he stayed and watched my set. But like he was with Ray Romano and Robin Williams all the time. Robin Williams is somebody that I watched early on that I didn't think I could aspire to be him, but I just was in awe of all of it. So
incredibly talented.
Yep. And then the Canada question. So this is what's kind of interesting. I do a food podcast out of Canada called Order Up with Kelly. We'll have to have you on, Grace. Kelly, Matt, Carrie, Matt, and myself. It's just, we talk about food. It's great. It's so, it's so amazing. And so that's out of Canada. And then there's talks for my one-person show to come up to Canada, to the Toronto area.
I'm like an hour from Toronto. Perfect.
Yeah. So that's what we want to do. I would love to go to Canada. I would love it, love it, love it. So think me in your thoughts. I would love it.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for answering my questions, Mary.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Great questions. Mike, do you have any questions for Mary?
Well, I have 2.
Okay.
Okay. Would you ever do comedy outside of the United States? And 2, do you know how awesome you are?
Oh.
Well, let me answer 2 first. Yes, I do. No, I'm kidding. No. Listen, I mean, I have this page on Facebook. It's only 9:30 and I'm like half asleep. I don't know what my problem is. On Facebook called Midlife Mood Swing. And it's a place for women who are going through menopause. So Please sign up. So you know, I no, here's the deal about that. I think I'm awesome now because I am dealing with this aging process and I haven't lost my mind yet. So I think, and I'm raising 2 teenagers with the help of my husband. So yeah, I am pretty awesome, but I'm also, there are days that I don't think I'm awesome. And so for anyone that's listening, male, female, alien, you know, whatever, just listen to me. Like, the fact that you're alive and you're functioning is good enough. And so, I've accomplished a lot in my little life, and I know I've had a lot of obstacles. And so, yeah, I'm awesome. But the people around me, like Grace and you guys, are awesome too, because you're here and you support me. So I'm no one if I don't have the support of people like you guys. So that's that first one. And then would I perform out of the United States? Of course. I mean, I would perform, you know, in front of a trash dumpster. Like, you know, like, I'll go there. But no, anywhere. No, I would love to. I would love to go to England and do a comedy set there. Or bring my one-person show there. I would love to go to Ireland. That's where my family's from. I would love. I have a friend who's in Asia. Like, I would love to go out there, maybe do a comedy set in Tokyo. Like, you know, anywhere that people will get my crazy sense of humor. Australia. I'm just trying to think if there are other places, like, you know, anywhere that they will hire me and feed me, I'll go. So let me know. Do you have a place in mind? Are you booking somewhere? Are you booking Antarctica and you'd like to come out and perform? I don't know. No, I guess he's not. Okay. All right.
Well,
no, I would.
He's booking in Bridges of Madison County.
Okay. All right. I'll go there.
There you go.
Thank you for your questions, Mike.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, everyone.
So now it's my turn to ask you questions. And these are my personal questions, my favorite personal questions. Who is your favorite person and why?
Who is my favorite person and why? Oh. See, I'm afraid that now I'm going to get in trouble because there's, you know, I should say my husband. Who's my favorite person and why? Can I say 3?
All right. I'll make an exception for you, Mary.
Okay. So there's parts of my husband that are my favorite. There's my friend Paul Jasek. If you guys don't know him, he's like family. He's the kids' gunkle. Like, he's a stand-up comic. He just got inducted into the Hollywood Museum for their Pride series. Like, you know, he's really took me under his wing when I first came out to California, and he's totally family. My husband for completely understanding me and accepting me 150% for who I am. And then I have to do like a shout out to my mother. Like, even though she's passed, she truly was one of my favorite people and still is. Because my mom, you know, when my parents got divorced, she started a band. So my mother was the person that had a band called the Mood Swings, and she supported us kids by her art. And so that's what I've instilled with my kids, and my daughter hopefully will be going to college, majoring in art. So I think those 3 people are my favorite people, and Grace Fraga, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course.
Grace Fraga. But no, I mean, those are the 3 people that, you know, totally supported me, you know, when I couldn't support myself. So.
Absolutely. Yes. What are you grateful for?
What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for humor. That might sound a little cliche. I don't think I would have gotten through the pandemic if I didn't do 180 Zoom shows. Like, I had to laugh every day. Even if no one else was laughing because you couldn't hear them over Zoom. But
yes.
So I'm grateful for humor. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful that I'm raising my family with humor. So I guess I'm grateful for humor, Grace.
I love that. That's a great answer. Nobody ever told me that. I love it. So let's see. Any favorite quotes?
Oh God, this is hard. Like, I'm on the drop because I don't have a good memory now that I have menopause. You know what? One of my favorite quotes is, "I can do something for 12 hours, that would appall me if I had to do it for a lifetime.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I think sometimes, you know, we think that, oh my gosh, I can't get through this. It's too hard. It's too hard. And then you wake up the next morning and it's over and you survived it. And so that's something that I walk with. And then, you know, oh, and another one that and this sounds like so like coffee talk, women in a yoga circle, opening our chakras, but you are enough. That's another one I like to walk with.
I love that one. You are enough. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you are
And
enough.
I do open my chakra, see?
Well, and you know what I say also, and this is good for performers who are listening, you've already made it. That's another thing that I say to people. You've already made it. Like
Right.
whatever you're doing it doesn't matter. Like we've already made it. Like
Absolutely. The outcome really, it's the law of non-attachment, right? Not attached to the outcome. Just do it because you enjoy doing it and have fun with it. So segue to that, do you have any advice for new or aspiring actors?
Well, we're in a time right now where it's the Wild West. So the pandemic put everything on like self-tapes. So truly, you guys, you can be actors from anywhere. You just have to be able to get to the hubs, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, to act. So, you know, you could be doing self-tapes in, you know, the middle of the rainforest. So that's the first good news. The second good news is that I really feel like everybody should be training all the time. So if you're a stand-up comic, you should be getting up and doing your set. If you're an actor, you should be in class. And then the other thing is training. You don't know it all. I encounter a lot of actors, and actually, Grace, actors who are older, who are just starting this, that think they know it all. And I still don't know it all. And here's somebody who graduated from, you know, a really good acting college.
Yeah.
You know, I've taught acting forever. I've booked commercials, I've booked television shows, I've booked plays, and I still don't know it all. And I still learn, you know, even when I'm doing, you know, doing sets and things like that. So be open to the learning.
Yes.
And also, this is who gets in their way. It's not the industry. Yes, we're in a writer's strike right now. Everybody could be like, well, that gets in our way. The people who get in their way of their success with their career, whatever it is not the career itself or people in the career. It's you. That's who gets in your way, is you. Every time I see it, every time I see people on the brink of success, and then they have this weird old tape in their head and they sabotage the whole thing. So don't get in your own way.
Yeah, I agree. And really, in any aspect of life, you're never done learning and growing. So
yeah,
that's a great advice.
Thank you.
Because the ego can definitely get in your own way, right? I know it all. Right.
Well, and don't compare and despair. Like I go on Instagram and Facebook, and they're great tools for us as performers.
Yeah.
But I go, oh my God, look at this person's doing this. Why am I not doing this? And then if I shut my mouth and think, well, but you did this last month, and they're probably looking at you and going, well, Mary Kennedy's doing this. Why am I not doing this? We all do that stupid thing. And then I say, oh, I want to do this because they're doing it. And it's like, we all need to get off that train because it's
absolutely.
Really,
I agree 150%. Yes.
Hey, Grace.
You know, just look at your own life and experience, enjoy it, and don't compare yourself to anybody else. Everybody has their own journey and their own experiences. So if you get sidetracked by that, really you're cheating yourself out of enjoying your own life and your own experience, I think.
Right. Somebody said Grace said your name. Is it
I was just gonna, Grace. One thing, great advice. Mary, I'm working on a new career at age 51, and that's perfect advice for anybody, especially somebody my age. But one thing I forgot to ask Grace, and this will be my last question. Sure. Mary, have you thought about a book in the future about your career?
Oh, you know, it's interesting. I started teaching young actors. That was my first thing, people under the age of 18. And then I started teaching adults, I would say 6 or 7 years ago. I've been asked several times to do a book about showbiz kids, but I think I might expand it to everybody. So yes, let me get through the One Woman Show, and then, you know, I'll do a 5-book deal and it'll be a New York Times bestseller. No, but it's something to answer your question. Yes, it's something that I've definitely thought about. And Yeah, but I don't have a lot of patience, and writing a book is like giving birth to quintuplets. So I just gotta kind of like gear up for it. But I agree with you. I probably will. You'll probably, see me someday on a beach writing a book, Yeah.
And this is a great segue to that. I want to know, this is my last question, and I ask all my guests, what do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for being the voice for the voiceless.
Ooh, I love that.
And I mean, if you look at my social media, I'm an LGBTQIA advocate. My
Mhm.
mom came out of the closet when she was 55. My daughter's non-binary. And so for me, I want to be the voice for the voiceless. And I'm also, I am a trauma survivor. So, I do not want to be defined by my trauma. So for me, I just, those are my two little legacies that I just, I want people to know that if I can get up every day and I can, talk to a bunch of people I don't know, or, that's the gift of, recovery, I think. So that's my thing. I want to be known to being the voice for the voiceless, and also to make people laugh,
Yes, but I love the voice for the voiceless.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much, Mary. You were such a great guest.
Thank
You
you.
always are.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody, for the questions and your
Yay.
participation, and your staying here with us. And now I gotta get us out of the live. So okay. So talk amongst yourselves.
Start with YouTube and end.
Go to YouTube Studio, right?
Yeah, and then
Oh,
end
yeah.
there.
Okay. So content. Where do I go?
Thanks, Leanne.
You're
Thank you
welcome. Nice
all.
meeting
Thank you,
you.
guys. It was so
Or
nice
you,
meeting
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much, you guys. Where do I go? Content.
Thank you all.
the same page that you hit start go live, you hit the same button should be end live. And then you can also hit the globe on plausible down on your toolbar, hit the globe and it will stop it from plausible.
I got it. I figured it out.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Okay, so end on YouTube. It's over. And now